What's up, everyone? Hey, let me tell you, if you are looking at moving to Thurston County, if you're new to Thurston County, we have got a lot of amazing events and things that take place here. Today, we want to share a great event that's an annual event that comes up every year that we just wanted to spotlight what's one of the events and features that take place here in Thurston County, particularly on the Olympia waterfront. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Today, we are joined by my co-host, Davina Clardy. We also have a special guest in today. It is Carol Riley, and Carol is the executive director of Olympia Harbor Days. She also produces Harbor Days, which is an event that we have in Thurston County on the Olympia waterfront. And she's going to be here today to be able to share with you every like the history behind Harbor Days, tugboat races, some great events that we have going on. It's a 3-day event that takes place every year here in Olympia on the waterfront. So, Carol, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thank you, Steve and Davina. It's nice to meet both of you. And I'll just add to not only does it take place every year, it's always Labor Day weekend.
Yes. So that's huge because I can't believe Labor Day weekend is like
here,
almost here. Like that marks literally the end of summer. What the heck, right?
Yeah. It marks back to school. It marks the start of the change of the season, going a little bit into the dark.
Mm-hmm.
But Washington and the Pacific Northwest has beautiful, beautiful late summer, September, October weather if it doesn't turn wet.
Absolutely. And good morning, Donna. We are talent. We are John L. Scott Talent Group, and this is Talent Talk. And every week we bring something of value to you, whether we're talking about the market, whether we're talking about events. And we're going to get into a little bit of we're going to have a history lesson with Carol this morning, right? So get ready. You talked about kids going back to school. Well, we're going to get schooled this morning. So we're going to walk out of this today with a little bit more information than we're going to be smarter after this broadcast today. So anyone that's joining us on whether you're on the LinkedIn platform, on our YouTube platform, on Facebook, if you've seen us on Instagram or any of our podcasts, just please participate, join us in the conversation. We love to hear from you. So thank you. And we have a trivia question, right? And I don't even know the answer to the trivia. I have to say, I don't think I know the answer to the trivia question. I think Carol is the only one that knows the answer to the trivia question. What's our trivia question today? It's when was the first year of tugboat races in Olympia?
When was the first year of tugboat races in Olympia? Got choices?
Was it 1973? Was it 1982, 1994, or was it 1976? Was it A, B, C, or D? I do not know what the correct answer is. I'm thinking it's going to be a long time ago. So either,
if you know, or if you think you know, if you have an answer, drop it in the comments section. We'll definitely bring that answer at the end of the show, and we may be dropping some hints as we talk to Carol. So Donna's got B already, so drop your answer in the comment section. Teresa's going for A. So, all right, keep dropping those answers. We'll let you know if you're right at the end of the show.
I have a quick question, though, because we had a little bit of a conversation because we weren't, and this is real, right? So we weren't sure what we were going to use as our trivia question. Is the answer in there, Carol?
Yes.
It is. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's complicated, but yes.
It's in the back, like smiling, and he knows the answer too. So
you know what?
Answer.
the trivia question always kind of leads into like our conversation, like with tugboat races. Carol, give us an idea. Give us like maybe the history and the background of like how the tugboat races came into being.
Okay, so back in the day, we're talking many days ago, centuries, the tall ships were our main form of commerce. And Olympia was known as a very active port. We, through the tall ships, we exported shellfish, logs, sand, lots of different things. So in Olympia, when the tall ships would come in from down here at where the port is, which is where it's always been, you can see 5 to 7 miles up to Boston Harbor. So the tall ships would round that point and they'd start to come down Bud Inlet. And people who owned tugboats would be on land and somebody would yell, "Tall ship, tall ship." And the tugboat owners would, then remember, these were steam engines. They'd stoke up their fires if some of them would be always at the ready. And they'd head out Bud Inlet and they'd go and they'd race. And the first tug to get to that tall ship would get the job to bring it into port.
Wow, that's amazing. I never knew that. I've been here for like a little over 20 years. I never knew and been to the event, just never knew how this event came to be.
Right. So in one of those years in your trivia question was a group of individual tugboat owners that decided to have a reenactment of the old days. So,
okay.
Tugboat races. So with the races, how many tugboats on average?
Well, it varies year to year. We just lost our last working vintage tugboat in Olympia. It was known as Cedar King. She was a Dunlap tugboat, and she is moving on down to the Columbia River. We have Brusco tug and barge, but those are modern day tugs, so that they don't count as vintage tugs. They don't race. So some years we've had as few as 4, just one race. And some years we've had as many as 20, 25, and maybe 3 or 4 different classes. This year we probably have 7 tugs that are going to race. And we'll probably hold 2 races, but that will be actually determined at the race meeting that we have at 10 o'clock Sunday morning aboard one of the tugs. All the skippers will get together. I'll present a review of the rules of tugboat racing. And then we'll talk about the fleet that we have and the size of those boats and their horsepower, and then our suggestions. And then the tugboat skippers themselves will throw input into that. They may say, fine, let's go with that. Or they may say, no, we want to do something else. And so it just sort of happens on the fly. And part of that is because oftentimes there's a tug that was going to race and it didn't make it. It broke down somewhere on its trip to here. So
this is actually really, I'm intrigued because first of all, I have very limited, I would probably say negative knowledge, like less than zero knowledge about, tugboat races and tall ships and the things that go into the things that people get excited about, even in watching the races. And so as a spectator, so here I am, I am interested in getting out, getting the sunshine. You look at the beautiful Olympia, the harbor, right? Like being able to come out and to the waterfront and enjoy the activities and the events, and really a celebration of the end of summer and the beginning of this new season. What is it that is a big draw for, like, talking a little bit about, what's going on in this next weekend that I have a FOMO, like a fear of missing out. What is it that is going on that I just really shouldn't miss?
Well, I can tell you that when I start planning Harbor Days, or when I started, um, the first thing, what is Harbor Days? Yes, it's a celebration of our harbor, our working waterfront, our waterfront heritage, the end of summer, going back to school. But what is it really? It is really an event designed to bring community together. And when you bring community together, not everybody has the same favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at the event and say, okay, what would this group like? What would that group like? What would be appealing to these kind of people? And so I address all those needs through the different activities that I try to present. So if we start with the traditional, the tugboat show, it's a walk-aboard show on Saturday. It is a family favorite. The kids can crawl up and down on all levels. They can go down into the engine room. They just absolutely love it. But yet the older folks really like to learn the history of that particular ship. Where did it work? What's the horsepower? I could care less about the horsepower, but to some people, that's like, I don't even know what horsepower is, but to some people, that's really important. So that takes care of from the young to the old right there. In one day, in 1 hour, you can learn so much about these old wooden tugboats and how they worked. So, and then the Arts and Crafts Fair was started in, I can't say what year because I don't want to give the trivia question away, but that was not part of the original event. The Arts and Crafts Fair, we had Harbor Days, and then we had an Arts and Crafts Fair called Harbor Fair. Harbor Fair was put on by the downtown, what was then the Downtown Association. It's now the Downtown Alliance. It included all the merchants downtown. It included the Boy Scouts, music, art, and, the booze were from all the stores downtown. We even had the beer company involved, and one year the Clydesdales were even part of Harbor Days. So that was merged into Harbor Days in a later year. And that still goes strong. I know that Harbor Days offers the largest, I'm calling it now the Makers Market, largest assortment of arts and crafts, regional arts and crafts vendors. And we have got such a good show and a varied assortment of items. Believe me, you can do all your Christmas shopping next weekend. And you don't have to order it online. You don't have to go through Amazon, and you're supporting local artists if you shop at Harbor Days. Then I look at the music, and I don't have a large budget for music. I start every year with $0. So I have to build it through sponsorship and booth sales. And so the music gets laid in, and I decided, this is a local celebration, our community event. Let's celebrate our local music talent. So I bring in almost all Olympia or Tumwater regional bands. Sometimes they're up in Tacoma, but they all have Olympia connections. And so that to me gives a showcase for our local talent. And of course, Olympia is known for its music talent historically, and it continues to this day. And then of course, there's always the food, So Harbor Days had been traditionally fair food, which is what most events were: hamburgers, cheesesteaks, gyros, hot dogs, cotton candy, that kind of stuff. And I have been slowly infusing into that seafood offerings. We have one of the tribes brings in salmon. They do cedar plank smoked salmon on an open pit right there at the festival. And it's so good. And here's another little trivia or little known fact, that while they're cooking the salmon for consumption from the participants, they're also cooking salmon and putting it away, because we have a skipper's dinner every Saturday of Harbor Days at the Olympia Yacht Club, and it's a salmon feed. So they're cooking 2 meals at once there.
There you go. 2 birds with 1 stone.
So when I started, that's what I had, and okay, how can I build on those? And then I brought in the Squaxin Island tribe, the Chehalis tribe, and now the Nisqually tribe, because they really hold the heritage, the history, the ancestral history of our water. And I felt that was an important element. Our waterfront history did not start with commerce the way we maybe think of commerce today. It started with canoe commerce, not tugboat commerce. So we brought in the tribes. They do cultural sharings. They talk about their tribes, their history to the land, what they have offering on their reservations. And new this year, and since we're hitting, can I say how many years we're hitting? Because that might give the trivia question away.
Decades. We're
hitting a landmark decade next year. And so I've been thinking, how are we going to carry this event forward into the coming decades? Mm-hmm. And I've decided that we are going to ride the wave. And on Saturday, we have the Thurston Climate Action Team coming in with a art and climate collaboration to teach people about climate change, how to express themselves through art. And of course, climate change affects Harbor Days because it's all about, part of climate change is about the rise of sea level. And what does that do? We are right at sea level at Harbor Days. And if we have a king tide during Harbor Days, we're all going to get our feet wet. So that's exciting. And then continuing to ride that wave into the future. On Sunday, the same group is offering a electronic car show. And so we'll have electric vehicles on hand. So if you've never seen an electric vehicle or nobody who owns one, you can talk to owners directly. These are not through the dealers. These are real people. And see what their experience has been with an electronic vehicle or electric. I guess it's electric. So
we're following you. We got you, Carol. We hear you.
So to relate Harbor Days to that, what would an electric car have to do with Harbor Days other than get me there? We have from Boston Harbor a gentleman who has converted his sailboat to fully electric, and he's bringing it in, and he'll be at the Port Plaza, and we'll be talking about the conversion and how he can be out there putting and nobody can hear him.
Oh, so, coming in stealth on the water, huh?
Yeah. So electric motors conversion is definitely one of the waves of the future on how to combat climate change and what we can all do to help on that front. So that's, I think, the central theme moving forward, but not forgetting the tugboat history, the waterfront history, our tribal history. It's all makes up of who we are.
Right. I'm getting excited just hearing all of the amazing things that the history and literally I learned something new even just in the conversation that you've had with us today. And I really like the fact that this is a way to support local. This is a way to learn more history. This is a way to actually get hands-on, whether you're bringing your family out or whether you are just curious about, the history of what Harbor Days is, and moving forward, getting a taste of the food and the vendors and the local and the events and the music. And it's a great way to network with other people in the community. And like you said, this event is designed to bring community together. Love it, love it, love it, Carol. We are coming out of COVID, and we have had a last couple of years of, uncertainty, separation. We're just getting back again, like this year, to really doing full-fledged events again. And Harbor Days is one of those events that is literally now back in full swing again. You want to talk a little bit before we transition back into getting our trivia question about what is different. I know that gas prices are higher. You're talking about the moving to electric, right? What are some things that have happened? Some learning lessons. You are the woman, right? The executive director, producer, all hands on deck, right? For the last several years. What are some things that you've seen that have changed that you might want to just might be helpful for us to just get a little bit of perception about from Harbor Days pre and during COVID and now for today?
So bringing this festival back this year has definitely been a challenge. I did produce a festival in 2020. It was Olympia Harbor Days Light, and it was totally online on our website. I don't have an email address. We only have followers on Facebook and people who come to the event. So it's pretty hard to get the word out. But we had activities for kids, safe at home activities. We created a heritage walk along the harbor front, which we still have. We have flyers available. Did you know there's 9 markers along the waterfront boardwalk that depict the history of our harbor? This highlights that step by step from the Oyster House all the way down through where the new Tug Parthy exhibit is going to be, just on the east side of the farmers market. And then in 2021, I produced a very small event. It was another light, LITE event down at the farmers market, down at the Port Plaza, I should say. And so this event's been hard. Usually I know at this time that I will have an event at this time the next year. I didn't know that in 2021. I didn't know if I could do a 2022 event. I didn't have the knowledge and the permit to do a 2022 event until the end of March. So what normally takes me a year has been compacted into 6 months. And it's just been a lot of work. And when I started to uncover, reopen those doors and those conversations with the tugboat skippers, the arts and crafts vendors, the musicians, the food vendors, it was all very challenging. Food vendors, I had 12 that came every year. I only had 1 that was going to come back, which meant I had to rebuild my entire food offerings. Wow. And nobody had been doing any live events. So who were the people that were offering food? So that now we have 15 coming in, and oh my gosh, it's probably my favorite part of the festival is to go get food. Right. Great variety of seafood to German and Polish sausage that's made homemade, and homemade ice cream, just all kinds of stuff, even vegan ice cream. Go figure.
Oh, wow.
So, and then looking at the arts and crafts vendors, we normally have about a 60 to 70% return rate of our arts and crafts vendors. We've had many that have been there 30 years. This year, we lost 40% of our arts and crafts base because of retirement. They moved, they got real jobs. That's a joke because they have real jobs, but they lost their livelihood because they don't have brick and mortar. They are outdoor merchants. And so during COVID, they lost theirs. So I've rebuilt that up, and now we are sold out. So that's really exciting. I didn't think we were going to sell out. And I had to be careful because for many of those months since March, I didn't know if we might go backwards and the state might say, you must keep 10 feet apart or 6 feet apart, which in the festival where the 10-foot booths are smack right up against each other, if all of a sudden I had to leave 6 feet, I would have given up easily, a third of my inventory.
Right.
So I had to be careful of how I planned and how I sold that inventory so that I didn't disappoint. Yeah. So that was a challenge. And then the last big challenge has really been the fleet itself, the tugboats. Many this year were smaller than we had been in 2019, but 2019 was a banner year for tugboat turnout. And probably the biggest year we've had since the state centennial when there were like 30 tugs. We've never seen that before. But this year, the tugboat skippers or owners, the gas fuel price is so high. We have offered them, they come down on their own dime. So we don't pay them to come. They don't pay to come except for the cost of them coming here. Working with the port, we offered them a commercial rate at the fuel dock as an enticement. And, so some are coming to take advantage of that. Others complain, insurance was an issue. We have one tug that is always at Harbor Days, and a month ago lost its insurance for no reason. And insurance has been a big issue in many industries post-COVID, and it has hit Harbor Days pretty hard. And I just got the call yesterday. I got my insurance back. I'm coming. So that was a phew. Okay. And then some of those tugs are in disrepair and have been caught up in supply chain issues, labor issues, and are just not ready to make the journey to the South Sound.
Right. So there's just a plethora of different situations and scenarios for a lot of business owners and boat owners.
Even the bands, when I would call them the bands, they'd say, we haven't practiced in 2 years. Or, right. We lost we fell apart over COVID. We don't have a band anymore. So, I mean, it just is every step of the way has been a challenge.
Right. Here's a question here from Donna is asking, how long have you been leading Harbor Days and why are you so passionate about it?
So I started in 2015. They hired me 2 weeks before the 2015 event, and that was the Olympia Kiwanis at the time were hosting the event. I shadowed. I didn't have to produce the event. I watched what was going on. I saw what was going on. I started to formulate my own questions and my own vision. I'm passionate about it because I love bringing people together. It is, to me, the threads of our connection are what makes community. And whether it's small community in your neighborhood, larger in your city or your county or your state or your country, we are all connected. And this is a format to bring people together to then engage in conversation and sharing of ideas. And, we are a country that's free to disagree, but we have to listen. And these live events they create that format for people to do that. They also a live event creates memories that families will hold forever. Remember when we went to that festival, they might not remember it was Harbor Days, and we saw a pirate on stilts, or we saw a fire pit smoking salmon, or we saw a tugboat that was so tiny my Barbie doll could sit inside of it. So those are the things that people remember, that families talk about. I'm sure you all with your families have experiences that from when you were kids that you laugh about every year at the holidays,
Yeah.
So,
Caroline, this
I was going to say before I did Harbor Days, I did 20 years of managing high school and producing high school reunions. And that's another format that brings people together.
So we know who to reach out to then when we need to plan an event, right?
Yeah. I did in 20 years. In 20 years, I did 750 high school reunions.
Oh my goodness!
Holy moly!
Yeah, I mean, I had staff. So
wow, this is an exciting event. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. This is one of the ones that we go to because this is like a family event for like everyone in the family, for the kids, the grown-ups. There's a lot of things going on. I love going there for lunch and the food trucks because you can find all that hard to find food stuff. Fair food, if you want to call it, whatever. But it's always good.
Yeah. It's definitely a family-friendly event. The event is free to the community. The only thing that people would need to pay for, other than their shopping or their eating pleasure is we do have the Virginia 5, which is a historic Mosquito Fleet steamship coming in. And we have the Lady Washington, which is the state's tall ship coming in. And you can go on excursions, sailings, or cruises in Bud Inlet, but it does cost to get a ticket on those ships. At our website, www.harbordays.com, there's links to how to secure tickets for those ships. We don't sell the tickets, but we direct you to their foundations. They're both nonprofit foundations, and people can secure their tickets there. If there are still tickets available to sell, you can purchase them at the ships. No guarantees that they will be. I really encourage people to pre-purchase. And new this year, we're bringing in 2 schooners that are Olympia schooners, and they are offering charters for 6 people for an hour or so tour out in the harbor, sailing out in the harbor or in the Bud Inlet. So if you have 6 friends, you can secure a spot and go get yourself out on the water.
That sounds great, and the weather should be amazing for that, and an experience that you normally wouldn't be able to have if you didn't attend. So again, you can go, as you mentioned, go to harbordays.com to get more information. The event is, can you let us know again what days and times are the event?
September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. The 2nd is Friday. We set up Friday. We start setting up Friday morning. The vendors come in. You can shop as we set up. If you've never seen a festival being set up, it is a vision to hold because it is kind of wild.
We'll be out there. John will stop.
And I always tell the vendors, if you unpacking your box and the first item you've got in your hand and somebody wants to buy it, sell it. We don't have an opening bell, although we do officially open at 5. Most of our food vendors will be ready to go probably right around the lunch hour. I can't exactly say when because they're going to load in at different times, and they can start selling. They're all permitted and ready to start selling once they're fired up. So Friday 5 to 8, and 8 is when we start to see darkness. Oh, I'm going to miss summer.
Yeah.
And then Saturday we open at 10. We close at 7, and then Sunday 10 to 6. And then Monday when I'm cleaning up, every year it amazes me. People say, wait, I thought there was a festival here. Well, that was yesterday. So Labor Day is a holiday, and we're all celebrating that holiday.
All right, awesome. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Friday evening 5 to 8,
right.
Saturday 10 to 7, Sunday 10 to 6.
Right. September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the Labor Day weekend. Beautiful time to go out, check out the events, the music, the fun, the shopping, the sailing, and tours, and all of the learn a little bit more history about the waterfront.
And new this year, all the waterfront recreational clubs are participating with their small craft. So we have the Olympia Community Sailing Club, Olympia Area Rowing Club, Olympia Dragon Boat Club, Olympia Recs and Arts and Parks with their kayak program. And new this year, we've always brought in the remote control tugboats, and new this year joining them are remote control sailboats that actually hold regattas in our bay.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I mean, you'll just have to come back every single day to do it all. You'd have to live there like I do to do it all. So.
This is awesome. So we have our trivia question. Steve, you want to go ahead with our trivia? We're going to get that trivia question answered now. What is it again?
Yes. So when was the first year the tugboat races, or when was the first year of the tugboat races in Olympia? We had a few answers that were given. Here's your choices. Donna's saying B, but A, 1973, 1982, 1994, or 1976. If you guessed answer number B, you would be wrong. It was number A, 1973.
So I earlier said it was a little bit complicated. 1973, a group of tugboat owners down here, I think they were all in the South Sound or nearby, got together and decided to have a tugboat race. And so they did. It was just, they coordinated it. The dock, the waterfront looked nothing like it does now. It was much more industrial at the time. Or, I mean, it was industrial at the time. And so they did that. And then the local historian said, hey, this would make for a great foundation for an event. So the official first year of Olympia Harbor Days was 1974 under our logo. But I always take it back to 73. So it's a little confusing there. But if it hadn't have been for that group of skippers in 73, I don't know that we would have Olympia Harbor Days today, 50 years later.
Awesome. So 50, 49 years this
49
year.
49 years this year, 50 next.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carol, for joining us. We are out of time.
I bet.
Yes.
That's why I got to come to the festival, because there's so much I can't even talk about it.
Yes. And my brain, the visions of all of the things that are going on. We've been out there the years that right before COVID hit. We were out there for the last couple of years, actually. And it's a fun time. Lots of people out, and we really enjoy, seeing community come together. So I love that. Yeah. So we're going to, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Davina, two very thrilling things are, if you have the opportunity to get in a boat and go watch the tugboat races out in the harbor, they're not visible from the festival grounds. The tugboat races are out in the channel, out past West Bay Marina, and then they head north and they go right by the Olympia Golf and Country Club, and then they end. They're a mile and a half. Takes 11 minutes for a tugboat to race a mile and a half. Okay. But the wakes they create are, that's the surfing of Olympia. And then the other thing is, where your booth has been located in the past, it's not going to be there this year. The John L. Scott booth will be up by the Harbor House, but you'll have to come on Saturday, because we're bringing in a chainsaw carver. And he's going to carve a tugboat riding a wave.
Wow. Love it. Well, make sure everyone, you are listening on whatever platform, whether it's on our YouTube, whether it's on right here on our Facebook, Instagram, Spotify podcast, LinkedIn, no matter where you are, like us, follow us, come out to Harbor Days, Labor Day weekend, enjoy some of the festivities, and plan again for next year. And be a part of community and supporting local. Thank you so much, Carol, for.
All right. Well, thank you. And the South Sound Maritime Heritage Association thanks you also. They're the host of the event.
Thank you. And stay on real quick. We're gonna go out. We usually do this thing called Be Bold. It's just staying outside your comfort zone. So we're gonna go be bold, and you guys just make sure that you have a great rest of the day and weekend, and stay tuned for more great stuff that's coming on our Talent Talk channels. All right. So we're gonna say Be Bold on 3. So let's go. You want to count us down, Steve?
1, 2, 3. Be bold.
Be bold.